Heavenly Father, we're going to take this moment to glorify your name, to praise you because you are the Lord of Lords, you are the King of Kings. This is a very important moment for the island of Nevis, for the different stakeholders, for all of us. And therefore, Jesus Christ, we invite you here to share with us this activity. We are here for the commissioning of the aquaponics projects here in the Department of Agriculture and Prospect. This is the unique project starting for the first time in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis at this level. And for that, we could tell you that this is a great day. We give thanks to all the people who made it possible, the different institutions, the different professionals have been working behind the scene, providing the finances, the day-to-day work. And we hope that you bless all of them and you allow them to continue to work in this. We present this project and we'll tell you that it's an honor for us this morning to have a project like this for the advancement of the agriculture sector in the island of Nevis. We feel proud because we are pioneers in this project. And with all of that, we bless your name. We bless everybody who will be who attended this activity today. We bless everybody who will be taking part in the ceremony. He will be giving remarks. Blessing this day in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Let's remain standing, please, as we have the national anthem. Thank you. Honorable Eric Evelyn, our PS, Mr. Huey Sargent, our Assistant PS, Ms. Roselle Jeffers, our Director, Mr. Randy Elliott, John Hanley, PS Tourism, Lemuel Pemberton, Director of Fisheries, Marcia David, Treasurer, Mr. Elmo Liebert, PS, Catherine Forbes, representative from SIDU, Taiwanese rep, past director, Mr. Samuel Powell, teachers and students of the CSS and Sixth Form College, the news media, NNC, extension, Mr. Merchant, sorry. Mr. Merchant, one of our heavyweight, Aika Rep St. Kitts Davis, sorry, I would have remembered. Extensionist in the agriculture department, clerical section, quarantine, other invited guests. A pleasant good morning. It is indeed a pleasure for us here this morning to have the commissioning of our aquaponics project. I know Mr. James was on the side indicating Mr. Merchant, but he's a heavyweight in this project. He has been a propelling force behind such project and projects in the past. Mr. Merchant's love for agriculture is always with him, and love for the Department of Agriculture in Nevis is something that he always have. He's a driving force behind all aspects. Mr. Merchant would call from time to time to make sure that this project is ongoing, make sure that everything is in order. Without further ado, I would want to call on the same, Mr. Merchant, the representative of IECA, St. Kitts Nevis, to bring us a few remarks. Mr. Merchant.
Good morning, everyone. As I sat here just a while ago, the thought came to my mind, and really, it should be not thought, but words from Shakespeare. Life is a stage. We are the actors. We come, we do our part, and we move on. And that struck me more when Floyd mentioned Mr. Liebert, who was my permanent secretary, Mr. Powell, who now works with me, Mr. Evelyn, who started his working life with me, and who I taught from 3rd grade up to 5th form. And Floyd, who I taught, who I brought in the department, and the present director who came in and started working with me, you know. So I said, life is really a stage. And once we are on this stage, it is very incumbent on us to try to do as best as we could. Because once you're off the stage, you're off the stage. Somebody else would have a chance to act. Okay? And I think you young people, I want to take note of that. When you have a chance, make certain that you make the best of your time. Because once it's gone, it's gone. I would like to adopt the protocol which was ably established by Mr. Liebert, Floyd, and I will wish to bring you greeting from our Director General, Mr. Manuel Otero, and our representative for the Eastern Caribbean state, Mr. John King. Mr. King would have loved to be here today, but he has another engagement, so he cannot make it. So what he has done is he has asked me to convey to you his best wishes for a successful handing over ceremony. In addition, it is his hope that today's activity will mark the start of a transition towards a more climate-resilient production system, which would lead to sustainable livelihood. In 2015, the major countries of the world met at the United Nations to adopt the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development. This agenda consists of 17 goals, sustainable goals, which are in response to the many challenges faced globally. These goals are to be implemented by each country, and they are supposed to achieve these goals by 2030. Two of the goals which are inextricably linked with agriculture are goal number 2, which pertains to zero hunger, and goal number 13, which relates to climate action. You may ask, what is zero hunger? It simply means to bring an end to hunger, achieve food security, which our Department of Agriculture is trying to achieve, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Extreme hunger and nutrition remains an impediment to sustainable development. It negatively affects our economy, our health, and educational system. Climate change. The global climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. An overwhelming body of evidence suggests global temperature will continue to rise, and that human activities such as fossil fuel combustion, deforestation, and agriculture are the dominant causes. Climate change is among the greatest threat to our generation and of the generation to come. Some of the projected impacts of climate change, many of which are already occurring, include more frequent and intense hurricanes, flood, heat waves, and other intense weather. Increased heat-related deaths, food and water shortage, increased damages from flood and wildfire, spreading of insect-borne and waterborne diseases. The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture, ICA, has identified resilience and integrated risk management as a priority line of action for the Institute. Consequently, it has been actively positioning a corporate agenda for the Caribbean. One of the main objectives of our 2010 to 2020 strategic plan is, and I quote, improving the capacity of agriculture to mitigate and adapt to climate change and make better use of our natural resources, end of quote. Based on this mandate, ICA has provided expertise and advisory services to enhance the institutional and human capabilities of its member states, including St. Kitts and Nevis. This is achieved by using an approach which is known as the Climate Smart Agriculture, or CSA. Climate Smart Agriculture aims at transitioning the sector towards more climate resilience, productive system, and more sustainable livelihood. There are three pillars of climate smart agriculture intervention and practices. These are sustainable, increased agricultural productivity and income, adapt and build resilience to climate change, and three, to reduce or remove greenhouse gases emissions where possible. In 2015, a climate change agriculture forum was established in the Caribbean. ICA was the main driving force behind this. Other members of this forum are CADI, FAO, GTZ, the Germans, and the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, which is known as the 5 Cs. They all come together. We normally have virtual meetings at certain times throughout the Caribbean and discuss matters related to climate change. Now you may ask, what are the objectives of this forum? One, to raise awareness and to share knowledge of climate smart agricultural practices, policies, and options for the Caribbean. Two, to build a community of interested and engaged actors at the regional and national level. Three, to promote enhanced coordination and collaboration among actors and institutions. Some of the major outcomes of this forum, and I'm going to relate those which, I'm going to mention those which relate to St. Kitts and Nevis. One, a document entitled National Project for St. Kitts and Nevis, Policies, Strategies, and Action. This is an inventory which describes the agricultural sector, its vulnerability and strength as it relates to climate change. Another activity which was done by this forum is organizing a competition of best practices of climate smart agriculture in the Eastern Caribbean. The 7 Eastern Caribbean countries participate in this competition. This regional I'm pleased to inform you that at that competition, the NIA Farmers Cooperative was the winner in the federation. So congratulations to the New River farmers. In September 2017, St. Kitts and Nevis was struck by 2 Category 5 hurricanes. These hurricanes devastated our agricultural sector. Subsequently, our office put together a project which was valued over $125,000. We sent it to ICA, and ICA was able to fund this project. And I should say that it is not just ICA alone in St. Kitts Nevis, but because of the special arrangement between ICA and CADI, CADI was mandated to work along with ICA to implement this project. Those of you who might recall, we had a meeting right under the mango tree there where we gave out quite a bit of seeds, wire, poultry ration, and other inputs, irrigation pipes and so on. For now, the most fearful thing about this whole exercise was that most of you would recall that after a few weeks, there was shortage of food in Nevis. You go to the supermarkets, and all the supermarkets were basically empty, no food at all. This was because our main suppliers, Dominica and the United States, they got hit by the hurricane, so they couldn't help us. And so this situation makes us realize that more and more we have to do something to ensure that we have food at all times for our population. And so what you would realize was that I should dare say that one of the things when ICA gave us that money, they told us we are not going to give you money just to give people wire, irrigation pipe, and so on. What they wanted us to do was to try to see how much we could build resilience. So in the event of another storm, we would be in a much better position. And so what we did was we joined up with Garden Pool. Garden Pool is an NGO which is based in the United States. And even though they wanted to be here today, and even they're not here, I would like you to put your hands together and give them a round of applause. I hope he hears the clap because I sent the link. Mr. Sargent was good enough to have a link for this program. So hopefully our office in Trinidad, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Lucia, they are listening. So Garden Pool, they were able to come on board and assist us with this. In addition to that, because of the fact that most of the money was allocated for inputs, we were able to get some assistance. I think we got about $16,000 from FAO. And I think they deserve a round of applause. And I should also remark, and I think this is something which ICA is trying to do, to ensure that we partner, just not come in and give. I should dare say that the Department of Agriculture, with Mr. Randy Elliott and Mr. Huey Sargent, they also contribute significantly, so they deserve a round of applause. Now, if you look here, this pond which is here holds about 2,500 gallons of water, and it has been here for maybe about 5 years, or somewhere in that region. And it was not used. So what we did is we bought some fish, about $1,500 worth of fish out of Antigua, tilapia. We put them inside there, and what we do is there's a submersible pipe which you see right there. It pumps the water straight through the system. So it's almost what we call a circular system. So hardly anything is waste. Hardly anything is waste. So you would see that a system like this is very useful where there is a shortage of water, and that is what we have in Nevis. And so what we are hoping is that this is a system which farmers would gravitate towards. I know Miss Thompson, I see her right behind there. I know her husband is very keen on it. And I know there are at least 2 other farmers in St. Kitts who are also keen on it. So what we at ICA are hoping is that this would be like a pilot. We are hoping that the person would come here, get knowledge, and move on with it. I dare say, speaking to the gentleman from Garden Pool yesterday, and our other specialist, Dr. Cheney, in Trinidad, we are hoping all ICA staff would be at headquarters, Costa Rica, next weekend for a week. And as soon as we come back, Cheney has given me a commitment that he'll come here to also conduct some training, because we really want this technology to move on to the farmer. Now, I should dare say that this house here is about 75 by 14 feet. The shade house way down the road there, that shade house is 3,000 feet. So that is about twice the size of this little house here. But this house holds just as much plant as that shade house down there. So you could see you have quite a few advantages. Small house holds just as much as the big house right at the end down there. So there are quite a number of advantages. The other advantage, again, most of you would remember that during the hurricane season, or immediately after, the boats couldn't go out to sea because of rough seas. You have your fish inside there, so you don't need to go to the sea. Okay? You don't need to go to the sea. In addition to that, the plants are planted in what we call the guttering, or spouting. If there is a hurricane which is coming, those plants could easily, the spouting could easily be taken up and carried and put in a room and secure. And after the hurricane has passed, you can go and put them back there. So I want you to understand the importance of this house. As I said, I think the ministry and the department, they're hoping that Prospect would be like a demonstration area. And we're hoping that not only serve as a demonstration, but at least farmers from time to time would adopt what they see here. I am very pleased to be part of this ceremony, and ICA is also very pleased. And as I said, there were some persons who helped. I must give full credit to not only the director and the permanent secretary, but there are some staff at the Department of Agriculture who work very hard. There were some guys who work on the weekend. You know, Mr. Elliott was the leader, and they deserve a round of applause. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's as much as I would like to say this morning. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Merchant. I know you mentioned about replicating such project across the island of Nevis, and we have a representative here from SIDU. So anybody, could be a student, could be a worker, who may be involved, who want to get involved in such project. Maybe you need to see Miss Catherine Fobbs at SIDU, see how she could assist financially. I know Mr. Merchant mentioned about climate change, and that's a serious thing. We have the climate change issue, and we also have the monkey issue to contend with. So we have double whammy, a lot of problems. The team that Mr. Merchant was mentioning that, you know, come on a weekend and so on, we want to give Mr. Brown, one of our workers, a round of applause at this time. He has been an asset to the Department of Agriculture. You could call on Mr. Brown and to do anything, plumbing, masonry work, carpentry, anything. He's well versed. And we thank God that Mr. Brown was added to our department. We'll move along and we'll call on our director, Mr. Randy Elliott, to bring us some remarks.
Good morning, one and all. Coming after Merchant, a former director and my former boss, it leaves me to wonder what more to add to this project. But it was within a conversation with Aika a couple months ago that the concept of this project came forth. And when Mr. Merchant approached us about the concept of this project, he was able to bring two specialists, Dr. Chani St. Martin, one of ECA staff, and Dennis from Garden Pool. They made it sound so simple. They made it sound so cheap. And it was from there the ministry would have given it full support to this project. And I would like to commend Mr. Sargent for giving his support to this project. I think he deserves a round of applause, please. Most of us here were not privy to this sort of technology other than YouTube or Google. But lo and behold, we were able to learn as we go along. We were able to make our mistakes. Even me as director, we did make some mistakes going with this project. But my officers, Dijon Jeffers, Brandon Frederick, Kyron, Philip, and the others, Kelso, Brown, Peter, Woodis, we all, Walcott James, Kwame, we all came together and decided this is what we're going to do to ensure that this project came forward. Along the way, there was a question asked, because as Mr. Merchant indicated, we're using spouting. Along the way, a question was asked, what are we going to use to support the plants inside of the spouts? And there was a question mark that it was very difficult for us to answer. A few weeks ago, I was fortunate to visit a similar farm in Taiwan, and I must commend the Taiwanese for the continued support to St. Kitts and Nevis and to the Department of Agriculture. Give them one applause for me, please. But a few weeks ago, I was able to visit a farm in Taiwan and was able to see what they actually use to support their plants. And returning, I just shared the ideas with my team, and they jumped and did it. So as you go in, you'll see exactly what is it we are speaking about. The department continued to push for food security. We continue to echo the global message of climate change and building resilience. And this project only helped to galvanize that thrust towards food security and building resilience towards climate change. This, although it is the size that it is, it has a capacity of 1,500 fishes, tilapia, or whatever fish you wish to use, and a capacity of 1,700 plants. So for you young sixth farmers and young high schoolers and even entrepreneurs around here, you could do the maths in terms of what profits coming from this system will be like. It is our hope that projects like these, pilot projects like these, entrepreneurs, youngsters like yourself are able to come, learn the technology, work closely with our extension team, and invest. As Mr. Leibert indicated, that CIDU is there, and CIDU is ready to support such projects. Anything that contributes to our food security, CIDU is more than willing to contribute and support such project. But all of these are just a drop in terms of our efforts towards our goal here in Nevis, or in St. Kitts and Nevis, in terms of hunger reduction. And I will, again, would like to commend everyone who would have been a part of this project, the ministry, AICA, my staff, former PS, Mr. Evelyn, and everyone else who would have been supporting this project. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Director. I know the team, sometime on a weekend, you would be here. And although you're afraid to travel on the boat, I don't know if you could swim or what. You are the one that went into the pond to secure the pump system, to circulate the water around in that system. So we want to thank you, and we hope that you will learn to swim someday. Now, the minister couldn't make it. He had some other engagement, so we'll call now on our PS to bring some remarks on behalf of the minister. Let's welcome our PS.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first apologize for our minister, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. He is unavoidably absent, so I'm especially happy that it is not a feature address and it's just remarks. Let me recognize the members here at the head table, Mr. Merchant, Mr. Elliott and Mr. Liebert, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, of course, who is also a former Permanent Secretary of Agriculture. We have Mr. Elmo Liebert. I like to say he's the first Permanent Secretary of Agriculture, and I'm happy you're here to join us. Colleague Permanent Secretary, Mr. John Hanley of the Ministry of Tourism. I see Marcia David. I'm very happy to see you because we all know you hold the purse strings. So it's very important. Chief Extension Officer, Mr. Walcott James, Director of Fisheries, Mr. Lemuel Pemberton, or E. Lemuel Pemberton, Mr. Samuel Powell, former Director of Agriculture. We have representatives here from the Republic of China, Taiwan, and I'm happy that they're here to join us. We have students, and that's important because we're talking about our future here. This aquaponics system was sold to me by Dr. Cheney and Mr. Merchant, I think late last year or early this year. I don't quite remember the time frame. But when they came and they sat, I deliberated for a very short time before I gave consent. One of the issues that they brought up was the fact that it included the pond here. The pond has been here for quite a while, and indeed the Department of Fisheries, every time I asked, didn't seem to have a future for the pond. And there was the thought of maybe we should just put some dirt in there and start growing something traditionally. But when Mr. Merchant and Dr. Cheney came, I was very elated. One of the things that this project did for me is that it combined aquaculture and hydroponics, and that is how we get aquaponics. Okay, I'm not too versed in agriculture, but I'm trying and learning the terms. But it is part of what we are celebrating and observing for World Food Day. Our actions are our future. And indeed, what we do today will impact what happens to us by 2030, and we're trying to have a hunger-free world by 2030. And as Mr. Merchant mentioned, we can have fish and we can have plant food. And that is certainly important. We get our proteins and we get our vegetables. And hopefully somebody has some potato that we can add to that and put on our plate. So indeed, when we look at all of these issues and look at the space that is there and the number of items and the number of and the quantity of food actually that can come from this space, it is indeed remarkable. We are in a paradigm where we have to shift away from what we would term traditional agriculture, and that is planting in the fields, because as we have been hearing, we're hearing about climate smart technology, and we really have to be able to plant more using less resources and be able to generate more using fewer resources. And that is indeed what we are calling climate smart agriculture. One of the other issues as well, we are also introducing technology. Technology is very important. We see advancements in every other aspect of our world environment. And then somehow agriculture here on Nevis seem to be absent in terms of technology. So we are indeed marrying both worlds, the technological world and the traditional world, so that we can indeed achieve our objectives of providing food for our community. I want to thank, well, Mr. Elliott mentioned all of them before, but I want to thank all of those who were involved in this project. There were long nights, long days, even weekends that gentlemen were here. I think I must have been the person that asked Mr. Elliott, so how are you going to support the plans? We had everything. We had everything in place, but then, well, so where the plants going to go? Because if you put the plants in the spouting, I'm sure the water will just wash away the plants. So I'm really happy that Mr. Elliott would have made that visit to Taiwan and would have come back and you said we didn't want to tell them where we got the but indeed I happened to see some of the support mechanisms someplace, and I would have assisted in that regard. I wasn't able to come and lend my hand. What'd say? Put your hand to the plow. I wasn't able to do that, but I'm happy that we are all here and that we are at this stage where we are enabling farmers, because at the end of the day, we want farmers to adopt this technology. I see quite a number of students here. We're also wanting you to adopt this technology, because as we realize, the average age of our farmers are increasing. And if our farmers' age, the average age keeps increasing, we know life is not infinite. So we have to have younger persons coming on board and taking up this technology and these practices to ensure that our people can eat. One of the things that we've always been taught, you may fail in every other thing, but people have to eat. People have to eat. And we need to be able to produce food here on the island. We've been talking about food security and nutrition security. And indeed, when we produce our food here on Nevis, it is a guarantee that we have access to food. Mr. Merchant mentioned earlier that right after the hurricanes, we had some tropical ships that didn't want to come because obviously we had other islands impacted and our port may have been compromised. And if maybe 2 weeks had passed and tropical didn't come, we might have actually had a food shortage here on the island. And that is how serious the issue of food security is. And I will not go any further at this point because I think I left a nice cliffhanger there. Food security is very important. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I wasn't too long.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. I want to, he mentioned about the Taiwanese. They have been helping us to fight with the climate change issue. They are here today with some equipment, I think, to set up a weather station. They would have done some training. One of our staff went to Taiwan recently, did some training in how to take care of the weather station and how to read that data. I'm hoping and I'm seeing for the future that the department would make a lot of decisions based on sound evidence. Look at the sunshine, look at rainfall, look at how to complement the plants when there isn't enough rainfall. So I want to give the Taiwanese a round of applause. So we are on the rise at the department, and we'll be using technology. Soon, I think the young lady that was trained could stay in an office and gather the rainfall, sunshine, and so on from that office via a remote sensing mechanism. Is that so? Yeah. All right, correct. So I'm correct in that. So I want to thank you, the Republic of Taiwan, for continued support you have given the department. I know with vehicles, with training, all that sort of thing. So we are blessed here, and we want to foster the relationship a little more and move ahead. Thank you, Mr. P.S., for those remarks that you gave. They were welcoming. And I know that the theme for the World Food Day, or Action or Future, is a very serious theme. When you look at it, if you kill all the trees on the island, most likely you wouldn't get no rain. You'll have flooding, you'll have collapse of the island and so on. So your action determines the future, all right? And we want the young persons not to look at agriculture as being messy. When you say agriculture, some people say too messy, I ain't getting my nails dirty, I ain't cleaning no pig pen, no this, no that. You understand what I'm saying? But it's not like that. I know persons maybe in the US, they own a farm and they never go on the farm. So you could be a businesswoman, a businessman, owning a farm, getting workers to work on that farm, and you checking the dollars. Make sure you pay them well, though. But agriculture has so many opportunities, entomologists, soil scientists, a whole range of other disciplines associated with agriculture. Next year, we'll be observing our 25th anniversary of Open Day. And we'd like schools to come up with innovations. How you fight in terms of climate change, how you combat this food security thing. So I guess me and the director, the PS, would be coming up with certain criterias as how we move forward. We want young persons to get involved. I'm getting old, you can see the gray. So we want younger blood into the system. I wouldn't be here forever. Soon I'll exit. I'm here over 20-something years now. And that's a lot in the system. And I'm not looking to be here forever, but we want that when we leave, we have good workers, hard workers, that to take the mantle to the next step and ensure that persons on Nevis getting wholesome and local produce from the island of Nevis. I would tell you a little story. In my smaller days, I used to journey with my grandmother, go in sinkets, take over baskets of sugar apple, yam, all kind of things. And now we are seeing there's a reverse in that. And we want to curb that. In the opening of the abattoir wing yesterday, we heard Mr. Lupinacci spoke about using local product, using the meats and so on. So you want to get the ground provision and all of the things from here in Nevis, so Mr. Lupinacci could continue straight across the board to use that, and other hotels on the islands could do the same. So let's make a pledge to ensure that persons in Nevis could have foods that are grown in Nevis. And make sure, Mr. Pemberton, that you do all you can, so whether it's freshwater fish or saltwater fish, that we could have that harness over the years. Okay, without further ado, we'll now call on this guy. And this guy has been, behind the hydroponics. He has been working with the guys over here in Prospect to help finish the project and so on. And we'll call him now to give the vote of thanks. Mr. Dijon Jeffers.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank God for what He done so far. First thing first, I'd like to thank the chairman, Floyd Liebert, Walker James with the prayer, Mr. Merchant with the remarks, Randy Elliott with his remarks about the project. I'd like to thank Huey Sargent for giving his closing remarks, and thank everybody for coming.
Short and sweet, right to the point. But I guess as he grow in agriculture, he'll get more, wouldn't be that shy, and he would, continue to grow and could relate. Okay, we'll now move on to the ribbon cutting part of it and a walkthrough. We want you to observe when you go, to observe what is being done and see how you can even set up a small thing in your backyard to do a similar thing like what we are doing here. You could have just a 55-gallon drum or some other sort of tub structure to hold your fish, and then you could have a small setting in your backyard. And remember, we are looking towards the schools to come up with something for open there, something which is workable, could be replicated, and fairly cheap. I know Mr. Elliott would have spoke about adjusting certain things within this structure. As you go along, you learn different things and you learn different ways in which you could manipulate something. And they had to do some manipulations. But we are here today. And thank God that we reached this point now, that we could commission this, and we'll continue to push stuff like this throughout the island of Nevis in the schools, so that young people now could run with this and make Nevis a better nation. So let's all go have the ribbon cutting ceremony. We want to thank you all again for coming, and do enjoy the little view in our aquaponics project section. Thank you.
Time has come for us to be wise. Let's get agriculture back on the rise. When a country can sustain itself, it won't have to run to nobody else. Pleading with the old man, even the young. Invest in the soil, you cannot go wrong. With independence rock in the air, my people, we've got to be aware. Agriculture must be the backbone, mold it into the head cornerstone. This laid back attitude I can't condone. Fishing, farming, livestock and poultry make up the pack. Pursuit with vigor will get the country on the right track. The time is now, I say we got to pull back the slack. A boom in the economy will be the result of that. Mass food production, put some emphasis on fishing. Raise more animals, our own poultry, let's start producing. With agriculture, right in our corner, we're bound to prosper and be the envy of the area. Yes, some in industry is tourism, but 9/11 should have taught us something. Just how fragile this industry can be. We need backup in case of emergency. With this land of us so rich and fertile, have you ever stopped and think for a while? If we maximize all our resources and get right back to the genesis, create an awareness throughout the land, agriculture before tourism, snatch it from the hands of oblivion. Fishing, farming, livestock and poultry make up the pack. Pursue with vigor will get the country on the right track. The time is now, I say we got to pull back the slack. A boom in the economy will be the result of that. Mass food production, put some emphasis on fishing. Raise more animals, our own poultry, let's start producing. With agriculture, right in our corner, we're bound to prosper and be the envy of the area. this web of deception that's in the air. That agriculture is for yesteryear, is what have us stuttering on the brink. Yam, Tanya and cassava now extinct. Unsurmountable though the task may seem, whatever we reap is what we put in. No compromising, none at all. Though our backs might be against the wall, time to grab the horns of the bull. Man resists, everybody pull. Let's take back our agriculture in full. Fishing, famine, livestock and poultry make up the pack. Pursued with vigor will get the country on the right track. The time is now, I say we got to pull back the slack. A boom in the economy will be the result of that. Mass food production, put some emphasis on fishing. Raise more animals, our own poultry, let's start producing. With agriculture, right in our corner, we're bound to prosper and be the envy of the area.
Produce our own products and own factory. Make own yam beef and export it away. Stop import so much, we wasting money day by day. Being independent, depending on no one. Show them other islands what we could and what we can. Minister of Agriculture, please stand up like a man. Make this little island in the Caribbean, for we need movement in agriculture now. We want movement in agriculture now. So lift it up, so lift it up, and push it on, and push it on. Lift up agriculture for a better future. Lift up agriculture, make our export major. So lift it up, so lift it up, and push it on, and push it on. All we have to do is be like SKB, small little island, with so much industry that would make us proud. Give us more agriculture jobs, then you will well, and would think to rock, make our country busy, more farming activities. This is my ideas, answer my priorities. Get milk from the cattle and make some dairy trees. I go for improvement, and got them on my knees. But we need movement in agriculture now. We want movement in agriculture now. Go lift it up, go lift it up, and push it on, and push it on. Lift up agriculture for a better future. Lift up agriculture, make our export major. Go lift it up, go lift it up, and push it on.